Buddy?
Hi.
Here's
Hi.
Suzanne.
Hi.
I just got on a couple of minutes ago, Suzanne.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
We have some new faces and some familiar faces.
right.
Shall we get started, everyone?
And
All right.
sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, I wanted to say welcome to our second of our series of three informational webinars to talk about the upcoming course, Bridging Yoga and Mental Health Care, that we're holding in Florence in May. And Joanne and I are really, really excited about it. We've been doing a lot of corresponding with each other and with the hotel. And today's webinar will tell you a little bit more about what will be going on, but I first wanted to start, for those of you who are new to our webinar and were not here last time, just a couple of quick introductions. My name is Suzanne Ludlam. I am a certified yoga therapist and owner of Trinity Yoga Therapy in Fredericksburg, Virginia. I'm also author of the recently published memoir entitled An Imperfect Pilgrim, Trauma and Healing on This Side of the Rainbow. And my colleague Joanne is a licensed independent clinical social worker. She's been in the field for many years now. She's also a certified yoga therapist, and she's also founder of a very really cool program. Actually, it's called the National Conference on Integrating Yoga into Mental Health Care. And last June was the second conference, and I'm sure that it's a movement that will be growing exponentially. So that's just in a nutshell, that's who I am, that's who Joanne is, and I wanted to pass the baton to Joanne for a few minutes to talk a little bit more about the program.
Okay. I gave an earlier version of this program at the same hotel in 2012, and I fell in love with it. It was built in the 1200s as a monastery, and it was located next door to the home of Dante Alighieri, who wrote the Divine Comedy. And the legend has it that he used to wander around in the garden of the hotel while he was writing his epic masterpieces. And there's a myrtle tree that's still there that he is renowned for having sat under. So this is a hotel which is close enough to the center of Florence that you can hop on a bus and be there within 15 minutes. But it's far enough away so that there's lush greenery around the hotel, and it's very peaceful and quiet. You know, what we're going to be doing is meeting there late in the afternoon on Monday, May 7th, to have some dinner together and spend the evening together. And then the next morning, we're going to have an hour-long yoga experience from 7 to 8 in the morning. Then we'll have breakfast that the hotel provides. And then we're going to be meeting for the course from 9:15 until 12:30, and then we're free for the rest of the day and the evening. So, and we're going to be basically doing the same schedule every day. So the first day, we're going to be building this model of embodied psychotherapy using yoga, the latest theories of neuroscience, and the rich field of somatic psychotherapy, which is not well known to most traditionally trained psychotherapists. So this is going to be an integrated approach. And it is so exciting to see all of the correspondences between the yoga tradition and current research and practice on trauma, anxiety, depression. There are several interlocking layers of yoga philosophy and practice which are directly related to the autonomic nervous system, which is a key to healing trauma and other mental health conditions. I don't know if any of you have been reading about this, but there are theories coming out now that most mental health issues are caused originally by trauma. So by working with the nervous system to re-regulate it and prepare someone to work very deeply on trauma, they can, they can heal many psychological conditions. So that's what we're going to do on day one, on Tuesday, and everyone will come out of that day with a solid foundation in the physiology of the nervous system, in the basics of yoga, and a little bit in understanding somatic therapy approaches. So in day two, we're going to focus in on specific elements of chair and mat yoga that we are going to be having a practicum on, so that by the time we're finished with day two, we will feel confident bringing these yoga interventions into our work with clients. And my approach is a little different than other yoga therapists working with trauma, in that I don't recommend a specific sequence of poses as the ones which are going to heal a person's trauma. Instead, I describe different dimensions of yoga, elements of yoga that have certain effects on the nervous system. And the therapist can choose with the client between many, many different postures that will have a similar effect on the nervous system, and prepare them for doing deeper trauma work. So, so in the second day, we'll be talking about a little bit about the most significant elements of yoga in this work. We're going to be talking about foundations of somatic psychotherapy and some excellent techniques that I have learned in my training in somatic experiencing, among other techniques that mesh with yoga so beautifully that that we can bring this new, exciting, dynamic, integrated system into our work. So, so I'd like to turn the camera over to Suzanne now, who's going to talk about day 3 and 4 of the training.
Thanks, Joanne.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so day 3, we'll be transitioning into a discussion about prana. That discussion includes subtle and gross physiology of pranayama, including the pranavayus. And if you're a yoga person and you're well versed in the language of yoga, then you do understand what pranavayus are. In the yoga language, they're basically winds or currents of energy, and we'll explain that in much greater detail at the course. We'll also learn how to identify subtle breathing patterns and to be able to recognize how they may reveal emotional dysregulation in someone who's sitting across from us, or possibly even a yoga student or your yoga therapy client. And most importantly, what can we do about that? We'll be learning some basic principles of breathing practices, and there are some actually pretty straightforward and simple breathing techniques that have been researched and proven to lower cortisol levels and activate the parasympathetic response within as little as 45 seconds. I don't have that study offhand, but that's something that another mental health clinician had told me, and she's a very holistic practitioner as well. So that's basically, in a nutshell, that's day 3. Day 4, we'll be going into Yoga Nidra. There are a couple of different styles of Yoga Nidra. Joanne was trained in one style. I was trained in a different style. We'll cover both of them. We'll also have a Yoga Nidra practice. And as Joanne said, each morning we'll have a 7 a.m. practice, yoga practice. And each morning's practice will incorporate and utilize what you will be learning that day in the coursework. The program was designed this way, where it starts at 7 a.m., then breakfast, and then we have the coursework from about 9 to 12:30. And I have to say, Joanne, I so love that we're scheduling the course this way, because you can't be in a place as magnificently beautiful as Florence and be stuck in a classroom all day. So I'm really happy that we're going to have the afternoons and evenings free, which brings me to share a little bit about what I know about the city of Florence, and I'd like to share it with you. I have not been there. This will be my first time there. If you are flying, you can fly directly into Florence, but that probably will require a connection somewhere. You can fly from most major cities into Rome, and then you can take a high-speed train through the countryside of Tuscany to Florence, and it drops you off, I believe, pretty close to the center of town. And that's about an hour and a half ride. That's what I'm going to do to get into town. On your free time, there are lots and lots of galleries. It's a medieval city. The medieval area, the historic area, is walled in, and it's walking or bicycles only. There are no vehicles allowed, which makes it kind of safe for pedestrians. Some of the galleries that are really, really popular to visit are the Academia Gallery. That's the one where the original 17-foot statue of David is housed. There's also the Uffizi Gallery, which has a ton of Renaissance and medieval art, including a lot from Michelangelo, from Botticelli, including The Birth of Venus, which is a very, very famous painting. I get charged up about this because my undergraduate degree was in fine art, so I'm just eating all this up. Lots of other things that you can do that are not art related are visit the Ponte Vecchio Bridge, which is that real cool, funky bridge that you see in all the photographs. It's a medieval bridge that still has shops along inside of it that you can go shopping in. You can take river tours. And then, of course, you can walk around city center. There's lots of really good eateries and other things to do, probably a couple of little parks. One thing I do want to say, if you're interested in booking any kind of gallery tour, maybe even the river tour, you probably want to book in advance. I just happened to get an email from TripAdvisor to say, hey, you want to do some fun things while you're in Florence? Go through our sister company called, what is it, Viator? I think that's how you say it. You just have to do a Google search for Viator, and then all these cities pop up. Look for the one that's in Florence, and they'll give you a description of all different things that you can do and the prices. Something very valuable if you are going to do any museum tours is buy tickets that are called skip the line tickets. Because what I read is if you only have a day or two to spend in the city, you could feasibly spend half the day standing in line. So you can buy these tickets that are called skip the line tickets, and that will enable you to have immediate access into the museum. So that's just a little bit of information for your downtime. I think, Joanne, the hotel is what you said about maybe a 10-15 minute bus ride into the center of
Yes.
town?
Yes, that's
Okay.
right. Mhm.
Okay.
It's very easy.
Yeah, it's very, very easy. But at this point, we'd like to open this up to any kind of questions that anyone might have, either about the program itself or any kind of travel details or anything like that.
I had a really specific, do we bring mats? Yoga mat?
Joanne, you've been to the hotel before. Can we get away with no mats, or is it a good idea to bring one?
Well, if it'll fit in your suitcase, that would be ideal. I think that there were some mats there when I gave the program in 2012. I don't know if they're still there. I can try to find out.
You know what I do? When I travel, I don't bring my yoga mat anymore because I usually bring a carry-on and it won't fit in the carry-on. But they sell these, I think that one side of it, it's a piece of fabric that is in the shape and size of a yoga mat. And people use them in their regular yoga classes. They roll out their yoga mat and then they put this on top of it. And the surface of it is terry cloth and the underside is like a non-stick material. So it's not slipping and sliding around your mat. And it's basically, it's like a very, very thin beach towel. But like I said, it's the shape and size of a yoga mat. and that folds up very small even in a carry-on suitcase. So I started bringing that when I travel, if I want to do yoga where I'm traveling. So you might want to look into getting yourself one of those.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Mhm.
I know there's also things called yoga paws that you can put on your hands and on your feet that have a non-slip surface. So they're like a pair of socks. So that's another idea. If you don't have space for a mat.
Mhm. Mhm.
And there's a tour that I want to take. It's called Secret Passages in Florence, in the different galleries and castles and all. It turns out that the builders put in secret passages in case the family had to escape quickly, and now there are guided tours of those. So I thought I might be able to get a discounted price if there are several people who wanted to go on the same tour. So that's my strategy for, I thought there are certain dates that are key dates in this trip. So the 26th of February is one cutoff date, and April 1st is another. So I thought at those points, I would poll the people who've registered and see if anyone wants to take that tour.
Mhm. That's a good point that you make, Joanne. I did want to remind everyone that the early bird deadline is February 26th. So it's coming up in about, what's the date? Probably about 2.5 weeks or so, 3 weeks maybe. And then the price will go up to $600. So if you're considering it, I would encourage you to try to get in before the early bird deadline expires. And then while we're on the subject of scheduling, just if you want to jot this down, our third and final installment of our informational webinar series will be on February 22nd. So that's 2 weeks from Thursday, I believe. And it's a Thursday night, same time, same place, right in front of your computer, 7:30 Eastern time. And we'll be posting the login information and a reminder. I think, Joanne, you might be sending out emails. I know I'll be sending out reminder emails to everyone who is registered so far. We'll also be putting it on the Facebook page. And if you have not been on the Facebook page, we try to update it with information. By the way, this webinar is being recorded, and it will be available to view again on the Facebook page, probably, if not tonight, then later on tomorrow afternoon. So visit the Facebook page often. I also post all the information that goes on that page. I also post it on my LinkedIn page.
I wanted to mention one more thing.
Sure.
Relating to the course, is that there's a 5th day of the course too. And we're leaving some time open both for further deeper discussion and also for case studies. And you can bring cases in and we can talk about them in light of the material that we've been studying all week. So that's an invitation for you.
Yeah. Thanks for mentioning that, Joanne. I forgot to mention that's almost like a capstone day for the week, where if you want to bring a case to us, either both of us or either one of us, and not really sure how to proceed with that client or that patient, we could talk about some of the elements and some of the teachings from the week and figure out what all can be applied to your particular case. So that would be really valuable. That's a really valuable day. And that's a half day too, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there is an opportunity to go on a little vacation together as a group for the next 3 nights at a spa town about an hour and a half from Florence. So I'm excited about that. It's close to Lucca and Pisa, so there's possibility of taking tours of those cities also. And I'm going to give 1 hour and a half seminar with anyone who's interested during that 3-day period, sort of talking more about cases and wrapping things up.
That's not part what Joanne's talking about. The 3-day excursion is not part of this program. It's in addition to the program. If you'd like to accompany Joanne talk to her about it. I will not be going on that part. I'm going to be hanging back in town for a couple of days, and then I got to get back because my daughter's graduating.
Me
She
too.
can give you lots of information about that excursion. It sounds really delicious. I wish I could go, but okay.
So, does anyone have anything they want to say?
I was under the impression, and I guess incorrectly, but that the dinner sort of meeting get together was going to be on Sunday night, and then the seminar would start. Would start on Monday. I guess that's not true.
No, actually, if you look at the dates, the dinner's on Monday and the course starts Tuesday morning.
Let's take a look. Yeah, dinner's it's from the 7th to the 12th. So the official start of the program is the evening of the 7th, and that will be our dinner together. And then the actual coursework, morning practices and coursework begins on the morning of the 8th.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope that doesn't present any problems for you.
Oh no, I'm going ahead of time. That's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
With me. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm planning on getting there on the 6th also. So I'm open to having dinner with anybody who's there that evening.
And I'll be there on the 5th. I can't promise I'll be coherent because I do not do well with jet lag. If anyone's there on the 5th, please look me up.
My wife and I are coming on the 5th, but we're going straight to Assisi for a day and then coming back.
Oh, fun.
Well, Julie and I are sisters, and we are, yeah.
Oh, hi.
Hi, and we are probably going to be sliding in just in the nick of time. I'm hoping not quite like that, but we get in on Monday, 2.
Like 2, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where are you flying into?
Florence.
Great. You'll be just a few miles from the hotel then.
Oh.
I have a question.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
I have a question about the 3-day vacation afterwards. I couldn't log into the site for the hotel. I kept getting a hotel in Sicily.
Yeah, well, I didn't have that experience myself.
Okay.
I think that's the name of a town in Sicily, actually.
Well, the same thing. I went to look at the hotel, and what came up was a hotel in Sicily, and so it was confusing when I clicked onto the name of the hotel on the page where you had all the information. So, and I thought, wow, that's going to be really long to get there.
Oh, well, I'm glad you're telling me this. It's the first time I've heard of that. I think someone emailed me today about it.
Yeah, it was me. It was me.
Yeah, right. This, did you get my response?
Yeah, I did. Thank you. Yeah.
I would like to help you to connect with the correct hotel. I don't know.
I figured it out. But I figured it out. You were if you just Google it with the right location, San Giuliano.
Yeah, San Giuliano Terme.
If you Google, you take the name of the hotel and Google that with the town, then you get the right.
Yeah, but if my link is bringing you to the wrong hotel,
yes,
I definitely have to change that.
Yeah, it's very beautiful. It's like I was thinking, wow, I gotta, this is amazing. I mean, the other place looks great too, but it's just, it's like it looks like a different country.
Yeah, as I mentioned, so the town is San Giuliano Terme, and there's a very famous hot spring resort in it. And that's why I wanted, basically the main reason why I was drawn to go there, in addition to this hotel, which is on the top of a mountain. So you get a very beautiful panoramic view sitting there while you're eating dinner.
Mhm.
We'll put the corrected information on the Facebook page.
Okay.
And what are the plans for the transportation from Florence to the hotel?
Which hotel? The San Giuliano Terme Hotel?
Yes.
Well, there's a train that takes about an hour to Lucca, from Florence to Lucca. And that's how I'm going to go. And I'm happy to have, to have other people come with me, and I can be the leader, the tour guide.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, we only have a limited amount of allowed free time on Zoom. I'd like to just offer a little bit of space and time for any more questions anyone might have at this point. Okay, all right. Well, if anything comes to mind after we close off, oops, a little spam there. Just email either me or Joanne, or both of us. We're both here, and we'll be happy to get back to you right away. So early bird, remember, is February 26th. That will say this is when after that the price will go up, and our third and final installment of the informational webinar series will be on February 22nd at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or Eastern Daylight Time. I never know what it is, but East Coast time. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. It's great to see familiar faces. It's wonderful to see new faces. Bless you.
Thank you.
And we'll all be in touch. Can't wait to see everyone in Florence.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Likewise.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.